America's public enemy number one is drug abuse.
Today I'm pleased to announce historic reforms to dramatically accelerate access to new medical research and treatments based on
psychedelic drugs.
In 1970, Richard Nixon signed the Controlled Substances Act. Psychedelics, LSD, psilocybin, DMT were placed in Schedule 1, the most dangerous category. No accepted medical use. Research that had been running since the 50s was basically shut down overnight. And years later, Nixon's own domestic policy advisor admitted something shocking. The decision was not only about science, it was also highly political. The government couldn't make it illegal to be part of the anti-war movement, but they could associate that movement with drugs, criminalize those drugs, and change the conversation. And for more than 50 years, that system stayed in place. But now, something strange is happening. The same exact government that banned these substances is starting to fund them. Federal money is moving into psychedelic research. Regulators are opening the door. Politicians from both sides are supporting new studies. And this is not just a cultural trend. This is a structural policy reversal. And when an entire industry goes from illegal to potentially becoming medicine, that can create some pretty substantial financial opportunities. Substantial financial. I'm a rapper now. And that's what this video is about. Me becoming a rapper. No, but the reversing war on drugs. Before looking at any company, we need some type of framework. Buying a random ticker without a framework is basically just gambling with a few extra steps, especially in biotech. When I analyze an early stage pharma opportunity, I start by asking 3 questions. Number 1, has someone already proven that this category can actually make money? Because if nobody has proven the business model, you're not investing, you're just guessing. Number 2, what are the margins? Pharmaceutical companies can have incredible economics because patented drugs often keep a large percentage of their revenue. But if you don't understand the margin structure, you can't either understand what the company could be worth. And number 3, before we get too complicated here, how strong is the protection, the company conduct? A drug is only valuable if competitors can't immediately copy it. Patents, exclusivity, and time matter. 3 questions. Proof of concept, margins, and protection. That's the filter. Easy peasy. Now, let's apply it. The first question, can psychedelic medicine actually become a real business? And the answer is yes. Imagine what a boring video it would have been if I just said no. Why? Well, because we already have an example. Johnson & Johnson created Spravato, which is a treatment for patients with depression who don't respond to normal antidepressants. When it launched, many people were skeptical. Too expensive. Too much stigma. Insurance won't pay. But today, that drug is approaching billions in annual revenue. So the most important lesson here is this. The patients exist. The healthcare system can't adopt these treatments. So the business model has been proven. But for Johnson & Johnson, a few $1 billion barely moves the needle. It's already a massive company. And the more interesting question for investors should be something along the lines with, what happens if a company worth $1 or $2 billion creates the next successful drug? That's where the math changes. So before looking at psychedelic companies specifically, let's understand what has happened before, because this setup is not new. Small biotech company, no revenue, new approach. Massive medical problem. FDA catalyst. We've seen this story. Axsome Therapeutics is one example. In 2019, it was a small company developing a new treatment for depression. Then the clinical data started coming in and the market realized that this drug might actually work, and the stock went from just a few dollars to over 100. Eventually, the drug received FDA approval. Another example is Karuna Therapeutics. They developed a completely new type of schizophrenia treatment. Instead of trying to compete, Bristol Myers Squibb bought the entire company for billions of dollars, and that's what makes biotech unique. When it falls, it can go very badly, crypto style. But when a small company solves a massive medical problem, large pharmaceutical companies often don't compete. They acquire. Now, does this mean that psychedelic companies will follow the same path? No. Many will, of course, fail, but the structure is similar. Small companies, new mechanisms, huge markets, major upcoming catalysts. And when this setup works, the upside can be very different from a normal investment. All right, let's make it interesting. The first company I want to talk about is Compass Pathways, ticker CMPS. Compass is probably the purest bet on psilocybin becoming an FDA-approved treatment. Their main drug is COMP360, a synthetic psilocybin treatment designed for treatment-resistant depression. And this is a massive market. Millions of people worldwide don't respond properly to current antidepressants. If Compass becomes the first company to get a classic psychedelic approved by the FDA, that would be a historic moment. Now, from an investment perspective, the question is, how large can the company become? If they eventually generate even a fraction of what successful psychiatric drugs have done historically, the upside compared to today's valuation is ridiculous. But remember the framework, proof of concept, the category has evidence, margins, potentially strong, but not proven yet. Protection, well, they have patents, but the true strength is only known when tested. So Compass has one of the clearest catalysts, but it's still pre-revenue. So one could say that this is calculated speculation, absolutely not a guaranteed investment. Nothing actually is. Really. The second company I want to talk about is ATAI Life Sciences, ticker ATAI, ATAI, and this is a different approach. If Compass is one big focused bet, ATAI is more like a portfolio. They have several different drug programs across different compounds, and they also have exposure to Compass. The idea is actually kind of simple. Don't rely on one single outcome. If one drug fails, another one might work. The advantage here is diversification. The disadvantage is that you might not get the same explosive catalyst as a company focused on one major approval. Lower single event upside, but potentially lower company specific risk. The third one I want to talk about is Definium Therapeutics, ticker DFTX. Fact check me if you want, but this one is previously known as MindMed, and their approach is again different. Their leading program is based around LSD-derived treatments targeting conditions like anxiety, depression, but the interesting thing here is not just the compound, it's the timeline, because they have several important clinical readouts coming their way, and in biotech, data is everything. Before data, investors are basically just buying potential or speculation. After data, the market gets answers. Good results can completely change how a company is valued, and bad results, obviously, can destroy the thesis overnight. And that is both the fortunate and the unfortunate reality of this sector. High risk, high potential reward. And this is the part that really needs to be said. All of these companies can absolutely fail. The FDA could say no, and the studies might disappoint. The drugs could work scientifically, but fail commercially. The companies might need more capital, which dilutes shareholders. So this is not like buying an index fund. This is asymmetric investing. And the way I think about these opportunities is pretty simple. Position size matters. If you're wrong, it shouldn't damage your financial future. But if you're right, it should actually matter. That's the balance. Now zoom out. Hundreds of millions of people worldwide struggle with depression and mental health conditions, and I wish I can hug them all. For decades, the solution has mostly been try another version of a similar drug. But now, for the first time in a very long time, the industry is testing completely different approaches. So the science is changing, the regulation is changing, and the politics is changing. And when those three things move together, that's when entire industries can shift. It doesn't mean every company wins. Most won't. But structural shifts are when some of the largest opportunities in markets are created. So that's the psychedelic medicine opportunity. We looked at three companies, one simple framework, a historical pattern from biotech, and a policy shift that could reshape an entire industry. So no, you don't need to be buying anything. The important thing is understanding how to evaluate these situations yourself. Because investing, it's not about chasing tickers. It's about understanding why an opportunity exists in the first place. If you want more breakdowns like this one, where we look at the actual reasoning behind investments instead of just hype, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.